Hello. As we continue to talk about the divinity of man, I want to mention something. I want to mention the people that I term as the invisible people. What do I mean by that? We all have a certain way that we act, and our demeanor is very different when we're talking to our boss, to a doctor, to a lawyer, to a person in the government. But what about those that I call the invisible people? Are they not divine as well? You will hear me often refer to my dear parents, may they rest in peace, from whom I learned so much and whose values I emulate. They taught me so much about human interaction. Both my father and my mother set the example of always treating all those whom they came in contact with the same dignity, with the same respect. And they always used to tell me, pay attention, be the same way to a custodian, to a food service person, to a waiter, to the mailman, to a utility repair person, as you would be to your boss, to someone in a courtroom. And it's so true. I always saw it in their example. My father had the best relationship with those that did the lawn. My mother used to come out and always give a cold bottle of water to those that did their lawn and their gardening. And she had her home aide come and sit and have lunch with her at the same table and talk to her just as she would to a coworker. I've learned from that. I have two anecdotes that tell you that we need to pay attention to those people that we sort of put in the background. They're not really the people we deal with every day, so we don't take into account how they're feeling, how they're doing, what their life is like. And the bottom line is we're all divine. All of us were created by God. All of us have a soul. When we look in any human being's eyes, we should be seeing a reflection of a divine soul. One anecdote is from the days when I was teaching, and we would go to the school cafeteria and eat right along with the children. Of course, you have the serving staff people who hand you your tray, and most people, and not maliciously, they just take their tray, they're busy with their own conversation, their own stuff in their mind, and almost ignore the people who work there. I tried to emulate my parents, and each morning I would say a word or two to the serving staff and ask about them and their children. And one day I noticed that the lady serving the food looked withdrawn and not herself. She seemed sad and low. So during my break, I went back to the cafeteria area and asked her, "What is it? What's wrong? You don't seem to be yourself." And she was almost crying, and she answered, "Well, I don't know if you know, I'm a single mom of three, and I'm trying very hard to get ahead. And I go to community college in the evenings, and I'm having my English test tomorrow. I'm having a really hard time." Well, it just so happens, even though I wasn't born here, that English was one of my favorite subjects, as was writing and grammar. And I said, "I'll tell you what, when I have a free period, we'll go sit in the teacher's lounge and I'll go over the material with you as best we can. We'll do this in 3 days, and by the time you have the test, I think you'll be more secure." And we did that. And we studied and we reviewed, and you could see that she was being revived just by having someone listen to her and support her. It turns out the week after she came and said, "I'm so proud. I passed the test. I did really well. And I want to thank you for caring." Well, that touched me because it meant that I had learned something from my parents. Here was a person whom I see every day and whose lives I really didn't know much about. And yet she has a life just like I do, and worries and concerns. And she's a divine soul, just like I am, just like you are. Pay attention to those around you. Nobody is invisible. Everybody counts. And you will be strengthening your connection to God by doing what He does for us, that He supports us, that we get comfort from Him. So do give comfort to another human being and share your divinity with another human being. Have a great day.